Hey, we're on the internet.
All right.
Hey, it's the scene of the crime.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, everybody. Here we are picking up with Of Scum and Villainy, episode 9, which is Inglés for 9, or maybe it's Espanol. I'm not sure. Either way, we're picking up with the crew as they have successfully completed their mission on Nar Shaddaa in a quite flamboyant style, I might add. So not only did they flay poor Mr. Ziznox the Rhodian alive, they also put him on display on a floating flatbed anti-gravity vehicle with a chase cam and like broadcasting to all the billboards in the neighborhood, so there's no mistake about what happened to little Ziznox. So they made their mark in the typical fashion, which is surreptitious yet also over the top, if you can imagine. Now they are in the Regi Queen, heading back to Sea Faroon, where they will meet with a certain Mr. Vig, their fixer, who might or might not have further employment opportunities for them. We will see. So we rejoin them aboard the Regi Queen with the 3 or 4, 5, 6 days left they have, heading back to Sea Faroon. So before we fast forward back to the interaction with Mr. Vig, I'm going to toss it over to you guys. Is there anything that you would like to do, role play, talk about, converse, have questions about before we get back to Sea Faroon?
So in the lounge of the Regi Queen, I want to corner Piss Clams, offer him some Carillion whiskey. Mr. Piss Clams, would you mind joining me here at the table for a moment?
Not at all.
So I'll pour you one.
Slide
it over to you. You seem one who is accustomed to horrific injury and the like. I've got to say, I may not have the stomach for this. I grew up reading many a tale of Calo Nord and his time in the Old Republic and some of the horrific ways he was able to affect change and bring about influence on folks. That Rhodian, I didn't realize the purple ichor that would drip from his exposed lungs whenever they were pulled out. Is this something you're accustomed to? Does that feeling in your stomach go away? What are your thoughts?
I'd say it gets a little bit less exciting each time. But, you get used to it.
Not exactly the most comfortable conversation to have in front of Lal. Always want to inspire, confidence in the young boy. He's often misguided and, needs a steady hand. But I've got to admit, the gurgling sounds of lungs on the outside, it's amazing we're even able to create speech. I mean, just the anatomy lesson that you invoked out there was quite impressive.
Well, I can't say it's my best work, but it was quite gruesome, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I didn't realize there was that much blood in a person. Whenever you shoot someone, typically the blaster bolt cauterizes most of the area. I mean, you get some seepage, enough to stain whatever you was wearing whenever you took the bolt. But that boy had a lot of blood in him.
An average humanoid has between 9 and 12 pints of blood in their body, Lau says as he walks by.
I'd say we drank damn near all of it then. And, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it? A little bit of a thrill. Something to remember the experience by.
Oh, well, I believe I will certainly be remembering it for many days going forward. If you've got any, strategies for, being able to continue forward, I got no problem shooting a man. But what we did back there, that was a bit much. I don't know how Calo Nord racked up that many bodies in so many disgusting ways.
It is impressive, isn't it?
Well, I'll leave you the bottle here for you. I'm going to go up and check the ship systems. You need anything, you let me know. You handled yourself out there quite impressively. I mean, you're falling to your death, and you were so calm and collected. I find that quite impressive, so I'm happy to have you part of it.
Well, like I said, it's at the end of the day, it's about getting a bit of a thrill out of it. So for that, I thank you, and for this as well. And I'll cheers him with the bottle. And I'm gonna say, but there is one thing, and I'm gonna turn to Lal and take off my jetpack and just throw it at him. I believe you. I believe you have some work to do here, son. And with that, I'm gonna turn around and walk back out to I don't know. There's, I guess, a seat in the gunnery bay somewhere I can look out at the stars.
Okay. Yeah. So you post up in one of the turrets where you're just kind of out looking at the blue streaks as they go flying by and everything. Cursing the name of Lao Hast a little bit under your breath. Modified your jetpack, and at a crucial moment, failed to fire, and you almost went plunging to your death. Good news is you only had like 65 or 70 more miles to go before you hit the bottom of Nar Shaddaa, so a little bit of time. But harrowing experience nonetheless. And just to quickly recap kind of that sequence for the viewing audience out there, they had successfully made away with C's Nox at this point. And as Piss Clams is running to jump back onto the Regi Queen from the apartment complex that they'd blown a hole in the side of, unfortunately, his piloting check didn't work out so well, and he failed it like it wasn't even close. And so as a result, his jetpack failed to fire. So it's one of those kind of like Roadrunner moments where you jump and then you're just like kind of suspended in midair and you're like. Start falling after you realize that something is awry. But then, in a very highly contrasting feat of dare I say, expert level of planetary piloting, you see Coop Trothel punch the Regi Queen into a steep dive from a standstill, surpassing the velocity of Piss Clams falling. They kind of look at each other through the cockpit, give them like the whole twinkle. As they're passing, they scoop Piss Clams into the cargo bay. It was a pretty iconic moment, I would say, in the campaign thus far. If I had to pick one moment that was like, that was really cool, I would say that was it. So anyway, quick recap of the very harrowing experience. At this point, Piss Clams is probably blaming Lao a lot for the misfire on the jetpack work he did, which is clearly inferior to what Phil Roy could have done, but
the troll continues.
Yeah, but anyway, not that Lao needs anything to fuel his overwhelming sense of insecurity, but now we have something else to add to the stack.
So Lao, you mind popping up to the cockpit with me?
1 second, I'm wiping my ass with Phil's kimono.
Oh man, this is
wash your hands in the refresher before you come up to the cockpit, since you seem to have a proclivity of sitting in my seat.
Yeah, pretty daring considering you were sitting in the pilot seat.
One time, but I'll be right there. Yes, I continue my business and put Phil's kimono back in his closet.
Okay, he'll be pleasantly surprised later.
Lau, that armored individual that was coming after Mr. Piss Clams, we owe him apparently a great sum of money to the tune of 50,000 credits. We're making it out of here. We don't have any refined fuel in order to bargain with Mr. Vig on this. How are we going to come up with such a sum to cover what I would consider to be a vital member of this crew?
I'm glad you asked me, because I've been thinking about this. We take all of our undergarments and we fashion a giant slingshot, and we use it to fling ourselves over the wall of the Galactic Bank, grab the money, and then run out.
So you realize by the time we make it to the galactic interior on Coruscant to even approach the bank, Mr. Piss Clams is going to have a death bounty on his head.
So my idea probably isn't the greatest. Maybe we should talk to Mr. Vig about an advance. Not only does he have to pay us for this job, but an advance on maybe the next job.
Yeah, certainly so. I just hate digging myself deeper in with this crowd.
Well, maybe he also has some information about this person, and maybe he can put in a word for us. I mean, I would say excelled at the job that we were given, and he might give us a bonus, and we could put that bonus in the form of a word.
Certainly so. Is there any way that you could do some investigating and perhaps find out who Mr. Pissclams actually owes? Perhaps we could go and persuade them on the way back.
Yeah, let me check the dark matter web.
Certainly, and then do yourself a favor and try to make amends with Mr. Pissclams. Do so at greater than an arm's reach from him. I need the two of you working and functioning well together, if you catch my meaning.
I don't take full responsibility for what happened with that jetpack. I don't believe it was my modifications. But I would not say that to him, and I would appreciate if you didn't repeat what I said to him. But I will absolutely look and see what I can do to fix the problem. In the meantime, I'm going to get on my pad and look in to see if I can figure out what's going on, and see if we can find out something. And so with that,
Certainly.
Specifically, what are you trying to look into regarding the situation?
I want to access like any sort of like sites that have information about bounties, whether they're coded sites or whatever. I have Underworld. I'm specialized in Underworld.
Okay.
And so I think
you're looking for the darknet version of Soldier of Fortune magazine?
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Okay.
I used to have a subscription to that magazine. I loved that magazine.
Well, the ads legit. I got to sidetrack you here real quick. Tell me about the ads in Soldier of Fortune.
So I'm going to tell you, I had probably 3 years worth of magazines. When we moved from Texas to California, we had to make room in the truck, and so my giant bin of like magazines, which included magazines from our wife, Rolling Stone, things like that, we had to get rid of all of them. The section in the middle that was like the centerfold fold out, where it had like the hot spots in the world for mercenaries, where it talked about all the conflicts and stuff going on. I love that section.
Okay.
I'm looking for that though, to see if there's anything about Mr. Pissclams
Okay.
in the back section with all the small stuff.
And so you know what that means? Hacking puzzle time.
It's not true.
It's great for the kids. Great for the
All
kids.
right. So step one, I need you to make a hard computer to even find such a site.
We never rolled Destiny Pool, by the way.
We didn't. I'm not that worried about it right now.
Okay. Let's see. Good sheet. Where's the clear? Is that this one? Okay. And I get 1 yellow and 5 green. And you said hard?
Yeah. All right.
Looks like a success.
Yeah, 1 success, 2 advantage. All right. So you plot down, and you kind of start perusing. The usual suspects. You start out on like galreddit.net. While they don't have any of the specific content that you're looking for, they do point to other sites out there that haven't been de-hosted by their DNS registrar yet, such as 8gal.net. Which might or might not be up for deregistration, but whatever. Anyway, you make it there, and you do see one thread that mentions an old gambling debt that belongs to one Lamangelo Pissclams, and it looks like that there has everything's anonymous because it's there are no usernames. It's anyway, aka HM.
How many people have shown an interest in that?
So there was one posting, and it was like, hey, I'm the owner of this debt that belongs to this Lamangelo Pissclams. I need somebody to go track this guy down. He's owed me this money for years. I want it back. There's a 20% commission. So if you recover 50 grand, you get 10 out of it. And a bunch of guys chimed in, 3 or 4 chimed in, the first 4 or 5 respondents were like, hey, yeah, I think I might know where he might be, blah, blah, blah. And then the last guy chimes in, says, I got it. And then there's a little Mandalorian symbol in the response, and everybody's like, oh, never mind.
So I'm gonna relay all this information. I'm gonna go find Pissclams in the cantina of the ship and relay this information to him and let him know that, show him the symbol and ask if he recognizes the username or anything.
There's no username. It's all anonymous posting.
Well, the user
The
icon.
Mandalorian,
Yeah,
the
see-
stereotypical Mandalorian symbol.
See if
Got
he's familiar with that or anything.
So depending on what your knowledge in history and other rules might be, Piss Clams, as far as your character history is, to the extent that I understand it, I don't think you've had any real interactions with any Mandalorians, but maybe you
Probably not.
I haven't. So yeah, okay. So what I would say is, look at that however you choose, just kind of knowing that's what your background is.
So you're showing me the symbol?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm showing
so-
you the Reddit
Oh,
post
okay.
essentially. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. So Lau, everything that I just told Lau, he's relayed to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would even remember that, probably.
Well-
Backing up the dead.
Yeah.
Is there another? I know it's anonymous, but is there a way? Can I see if that person has posted on anything else? Interest on any other thread? Can I just search around and see if there's any recent activity from that person on anything
Yeah,
else?
absolutely. Yeah, if you want to go through 8gal.net and see what any other responses that might include that same sort of Mandalorian symbol, you can try to do that. For sure.
Yeah, and then I want to try to correlate that against any current events where, like, for example, if they're looking for someone, if so-and-so was found dead on whatever planet, to see if there's any information that we can glean about this individual.
Okay. So 2 steps here. Number 1, do the 8gal.net search to see if you can find any other posts from this certain anonymous Mandalorian. And that's going to be an average computer's check. Oh, I hear something. Wow, there's a lot of automatic gunfire going on for computer's check over here. So, all right. Okay. So 2 successes, 3 advantage. So you easily are able to, through an image and cached website search, able to track down other posts made by this particular anonymous user with that particular Mandalorian symbol. You do find a couple of other Mandalorian symbols, but none that match this one. This one's been pretty busy. Over the last 18 months, you've seen that he's pulled in 25 to 30 bounties. Usually they're quick. Just kind of at the aftermath that you've seen posted on the website where he said, yeah, I did this and then I did this. But usually they're like, within a couple of weeks of him pulling a bounty, he's either got what he's coming for or he's got the individual and he's dragging them back against their will towards whoever issued the bounty. So he's been pretty busy, pretty successful.
Only over the last 18 months, though, is what you're saying? Nothing that goes back further than that, it looks like?
Correct.
Okay.
However, as you're looking through some of these bounties, you do see a couple of high-profile, like publicly well-known names in there, whether like celebrities, like holovid celebrities or politicians or whatever. Names have popped up in there. These are the other 22 or 23 probably wouldn't come up with anything, you don't think, but if you did search along these 2 kind of very public figures, you would be able to find out some more information, I think.
Okay, I want to show some of the public figure names to Mr. Pissclams to see if he knows any of them.
Okay. So one of them is a name of a holovid celeb that you would think would be pretty widely known. So think along the lines of like not quite Tom Cruise, but pretty close.
Like Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, like Jar Jar. So Jar Jar and Tom Cruise are a kid.
So like if Jar Jar Binks was a Scientologist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In my mind, what I did is I replaced Goose with Jar Jar Binks in the volleyball scene from Top Gun.
Playing with the boys.
Oh, we saw spiking the ball.
You so like the type dinner.
Yeah, we saw talking to the boys. So anyway.
So I'll just pass on to Pissclams. Hey, Mr. Pissclams, this bounty hunter over about the past 18 months, he's really made a name for himself, and he's been involved. There's some correlation here with some famous people as well. I don't know. How would you what do you want to do? Do you want to just keep running? Do you want to try to see if we can't find this person? What do you want to do?
And to clarify, the names that you are one of them is a hollow vid celeb that widely known A-list.
He's a guy with a bounty on him, or he's already been.
He's a bounty that has been collected. So
Yeah.
this guy's been a while, like the last month or year or so. And then the other one is some sort of Coruscant politician that might probably is well known within political circles, but if you're not in that circle, you might not really know.
I'll say we let him come. If we can find the money in the meantime, that's good on us. But until then, what other choice have we got?
Mr. Pissclams, I think you can appreciate our need for discretion as we go about, our businesses, having that kind of complication tracking us as we go about. I think we need to bring this to a head, even if it does deplete our resources.
I think if it comes to that, you cut me loose and I can figure it out on my own.
No, no, Mr. Pissclams.
And by the you Billy, or Lau, as it were, you still have not. You haven't looked up any information around the quote-unquote disappearances of these two high-profile individuals. You just know from your 8gal.net search that this other Mandalorian symbol anonymous user is associated with these disappearances.
For sure, that's why I was the sense that I have from Mr. Pissclams, as you're saying right now, sir, is that you want to just go talk to Mr. Vig and if this person shows up, we'll handle it. And I reach for my blaster and kind of fling it across the room, right?
Do we need to
something like that?
Tape that to your hands, Mr. Lau? I'm just
scurry
this
across
is just
the room,
dangerous how you are.
pick it up and put it back in.
Hey, where's that grenade? You didn't check that back in once we got back on the ship.
Put the pin back in that thing. It's fine. It's totally cool. Yeah, he put the pin back in. The spoon didn't come off. It's fine.
I think it's best that I hold on to it. It makes me feel good.
Are you clutching the right now?
Did you
No.
keister that grenade there, Lau? Where is it right now?
Are you sure?
It's making me feel good. That does not make me feel good hearing, son.
So I reach into my leather pants and
Make an athletics check.
what?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
And another thing, why are you wearing such tight leather pants? Are you going to a club later?
They're the same pants I've been wearing since I left Arcanian. I've just grown.
Yeah, we need to cut your rations, I believe. I need you in fighting shape, Lau. Too many of them space Cheetos.
Lemony B says athletically reaches into pocket. We're gonna have to LARP that.
If this athletics check goes previous ones, he's going to detonate this grenade on the Regi Queen, hyperspacing it.
So I'll store this I'll file this information away, but for now we're just gonna go talk to Mr. Vig and go from there. Is that the plan?
I believe so, gentlemen. Be thinking as we're doing our final days here in hyperspace where we would want to take this with Mr. Vig. I'm not one that is accustomed to showing weakness to men of this type of power. I fear that nothing good could come of it.
That's fair enough. But like I said, I appreciate a gentleman's concern, and as soon as it becomes a problem for you, I will make it not so. On that, you have my word.
Let us not cross a bridge until we have come upon it. Like I said, just think about what we're going to talk to Mr. Vig on, and if there are any supplemental sources of income that you might be able to think of as we are making our way back. I'm heading up to the cockpit.
I'm gonna try to mimic Coot in the way he sits in his chair and try to look cool, but
Throwing the leg over like
exactly, just come off all awkward doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
Mr. Piss Clams, it's like
Make
I
an
s-
athletics check.
it's like I say, you don't wanna step into the water before you get to it. You know.
That it?
Yeah.
That's
That's
it.
it?
That's it. Yeah.
Is
He's,
it? Oh, okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. Okay.
Classic.
Cool. On that note, I guess we'll go ahead and move forward. You guys are in the room. You have docked and cleared. You are making your way to Mr. Big's establishment. You walk in through the front door. They were like, hold a minute, gentlemen. We need to check. Yes, sir. They're here. All right. Yeah. We'll send them right. All right. So you guys are shown up into Mr. Vig's private room above the club, overlooking the bar and the dance floor and all that kind of stuff. So as you walk in the richly appointed room, it smells of leather and mahogany. Yeah, rich leather, by the way. Maybe a little whiskey, some cigars, potentially a 18-year-old scotch or two.
Mr. Vig, I believe we have demonstrated ourselves to be a crew of their word. Was the live stream fitting of the sins and transgressions that this individual has made against your organization?
Oh, gentlemen, so great to see you. Please sit down.
Take a seat.
As he takes a sip of a vibrant, delectable croissant, full-bodied red.
Mr. Vig, you realize for the price you probably paid for that glass, I could likely get it on the Galactic Exchange for roughly the same amount for the entire bottle. Not to complain in front of you.
It sure sounds like you're complaining to me.
Glad you came around to our side of the argument.
Awful. Gentlemen, please sit down. I have to say that yet again you have exceeded all expectations.
I hope that our recompense reflects that, sir.
Oh, it will, but not in the way that you think. And here's what I mean by that. Number one, I was a little bit, shall we say, skeptical when you said that you were going to play the Ziznox alive and make a statement. I'm like, well, but what makes a statement like a bomb in the man's apartment? Am I? So anyway, that's why the payment for this mission, doing it your way instead of my way, was 25,000 credits instead of 75,000. However, you have exceeded my expectations yet again because you didn't tell me that you were going to flay him alive, put him on a flatbed, live stream it to the entire neighborhood, such that it got picked up by the evening news across 23 different systems in the region. Therefore, I will be paying you the full 75,000 credits for this mission.
That is duly appreciated.
Before you're too happy about it, Mr. Boba Fett, there's one catch. Do pay Mr. Boba Fett before he goes dragging my valuable asset back to whoever he owes that debt to.
So that's what that individual's name is. I was going to ask for a bit of intelligence. Dingy armor for how well he conducts himself. Typically, us in the gun hand profession, as you can tell by this sleek duster and the way that I have these two blasters so delicately positioned and well balanced for a quick draw. Not that I'm going to in front of you,
for the ensemble, by the way.
Certainly, sir. Certainly. I've never seen somebody in such archaic power armor as that individual. What is this man's people, and from whence does he come?
Have you heard of the Mandalorians?
Only children's tales about an individual I used to read about, Calo Nord, and his run-ins with them back in the old Republic.
No, it's a type of citrus is what it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought a Mandalorian was what I squashed between my thighs in that Wheaties commercial.
It was have your blue milk Wheaties and some Mandalorian juice, and then you would squeeze, and then you gave your patented.
I'm gonna stand up and like do a little like put my feet around each side of it, and kind of
Flex.
clench my my hamstrings for everybody,
You know, like from like GoldenEye, like you're
and then throw the weenie stuffs up.
Now you see, Mr. Vig, most individuals when they reference the front of their legs, they call them quads. You can see why we call his quins.
Yeah, he is quicker than a wet panther.
And Mr. Big is just like he's kind of like noodling through like. Either way, gentlemen, if you are at all familiar with the Galactic Underworld Network, as I'm being a knowledgeable, in the know individual when it comes to the goings on here and there, particularly amongst high-profile bounty hunters, because at some point an individual of my stature might need to make use of their services from time to time. Boba Fett has risen to prominence from practically nowhere, and now he is dominating the galactic bounty hunter market, if you ever could imagine that there was such a thing. So my advice to you, in the contingency that I'm making when I'm offering you this package, 75,000 credits rather than the 25,000 that I promised you, is that you use the extra 50,000 to pay this to Boba Fett, because you are a valuable group of individuals to me. You work well as a team, and I don't need an individual within this team of yours getting nicked by the most efficient bounty hunter in the galaxy because of something silly like betting against yourself.
Ah, that's what it was. Yeah. I'll remember now.
Mr. Piss Clams, are you saying that in a shock ball competition that you defiled and besmirched your honor by taking a dive, sir?
Well, this was towards the end of my career. I made more than a couple of decisions I'm not proud of.
I mean, I understand, hazards of the job. I mean, yeah, Rodian's lungs were exposed and he kind of died during the process, but to besmirch a man's honor, that's tough. We should discuss this further at some point.
Well, as much as I would love to debate the finer points of being a paid contractor in a professional sports league, suffice to say that
college football.
Whoa, that's topical.
Yeah, California. Anyway.
Suffice to say that the retirement package was not as robust as it needed to be.
Fair enough.
Yep, he was going to end up as about as poor as a church snake.
What? You're a church snake?
Mr. Vig, you'll have to excuse us. As a last-ditch effort, Lau was keystering a hand grenade, and he is just coming out of the surgery to repair his backside. So he's a bit groggy right now. Excuse
the anesthesia is having an effect on him.
Indeed, so the diarrhea of his mouth. I apologize.
Here's what it sounds like to me. What it sounds like to me is that Mr. Lauhast found a book of witticisms divided into halves. Half of one witticism, and then
Indeed.
With the last half of a completely unrelated witticism. And he decided it would be funny to put these two things together.
I believe you have described it properly, Mr. Vig. He is quite the half-wit.
Half witticism at the very least. I think a professional comedian can pull this off, but unfortunately, Mr. Lauhast is not a professional comedian.
He will not quit his day job, which has been carving the lungs out of Rodians. Now, Mr. Vig, have you any more miscreants across the galaxy that we can disassemble and put on display for you?
So as this interchange has happened, by the way, I need everybody to make me an easy perception roll. This has happened concurrent with the ongoing conversation.
What's the difficulty?
Easy.
Clams blew that out of the water. Coop, you were focusing too much on the conversation with Mr. Big right now. Your back is to the area where the interesting things are happening, and you don't notice what's going on.
Okay.
I got a success and 2 threats.
Really? Because I don't see that.
It's
First one out of the 3.
it may have scrolled past for you.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Coop, you have generally taken lead with all negotiations regarding the crew, and that's the position you've taken now. So you're sitting down directly across from Mr. Vig, complimenting him on his cravat and pocket square combo and how that goes with the suit that he happened to wear this evening, along with the very expensive, fine crepe dragon leather shoes that he's got on. So there's a lot
Impeccable
on here.
style.
Impeccable. The man is really like, this is, if when you're talking about a man's man, this is what you aspire to, right? So anyway, you're really focused on the party negotiations with this important individual right now. Your back is to the door to his office, so you don't notice what's going on. Lau and Piss Clams, however, are kind of standing behind you and kind of looking around, whatever. So not really actively involved with 100% of the conversation. So they notice, like, while you're having this call, that a couple of like really big bruisers walk into Mr. Vig's office, but they're just hanging out by the door. They're not like, they're not like sidling up like right behind you guys, like breathing down your neck or anything. But they're just kind of hanging out by the door. And Piss Clan specifically, these are the kind of guys that, when you were squaring off against guys like this, when you were playing shockball, you're like, well, I'm leaving this game with an injury. That's kind of like what you think about these guys. So anyway. Mr. Vig is like, gentlemen, for the evening, again, all entertainment is in the house. Your money is no good here, as it were. Your services are quite valuable. So please enjoy yourselves. We will discuss further business in the morning.
Very good, sir. I guess we will avail you of your hospitality. And Mr. Phil and Mr. Ramekin, we will be taking shifts, and they'll be coming through as well. I am assuming your hospitality extends to the full crew of the Regia Queen.
Absolutely. My hospitality for the crew of the Regia Queen this evening has no bounds.
And thank you much, sir.
You are quite welcome, gentlemen.
The individuals that we saw, I'm tracking the individuals that we saw. Is there any? Are they doing anything else at this point?
No, just hanging out.
Okay. Hey, boss. We got a couple of panthers and some womp rats over yonder. I think
they're like 3 feet away from you. They can hear you talking.
Yeah. I got it.
How are they standing? Are they just like,
hands in their pockets, whatever, hanging out? They're well dressed, well appointed, nice.
they're not menacing us or anything. They're just like standing there, kind of nonchalantly.
Yeah, if you had to guess, all things considered, you would say it's some hired muscle that Mr. Big makes their use of. Not unlike you guys, but maybe less specialized.
Okay. Well, Mr. Vig, we certainly do appreciate it. Is there a time you would like us to call upon you in the morning?
No, not too early. I wouldn't want to do that to you gentlemen after I know what you're going to get into tonight. Why don't we meet for a late lunch around 1 o'clock, see for it?
Certainly, sir. We are looking forward to it. Shall we come back here, or do you have an alternate location in mind?
In this instance, I think this is business that we can transact outside of my house. I know a very fine restaurant from one of the top chefs of Coruscant who has opened up a little, shall we say, tax shelter on the seafood. Top quality meal, but mostly a write-off. So, but I'm paying, so who cares what the price is?
Very well, sir. We will see you then. Gentlemen, shall we adjourn? Oh.
Good cheers.
You must have had those suits custom tailored, gentlemen.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry. One more thing.
Yes, that's a very powerful swig you just took, sir.
And as he says, "Oh, gentlemen, one more thing." The two bruisers block the door. Your reaction?
Knowing I could get to my weapons, I just want to stand up
Mm-hmm.
and split to where I've got a shoulder to Mr. Vig and a shoulder to the individuals, and I'm going to diddle my fingers a little bit out in front of me.
And Mr. Vig is like, "Oh, Crute, come on.
I'm
There's
gonna
no
growl a little bit.
defensive posture. Please, sit down."
Mr. Vig, the vibration setting on Lao seems to be somewhat out of maintenance, much like his
Someone needs to turn off Mr. Lau.
jetpack maintenance schedules have been a little bit off as well. These gentlemen seem to be impeding my exit and that of my crew. You care to explain, Mr. Vig?
Well, first, please, take a seat.
Certainly. And I'm going to kind of teeter the chair a little bit to where I can see both.
I don't like being told what to do, so I'm gonna lay on the ground and do like a sexy sideways pose.
Yeah. So what you're telling me is that you're Gary Biggers on every single public face, like social media.
Oh my lord!
Yes.
How's that for a reference, huh?
Woo!
Yeah.
I don't get the
Anyway,
reference, but I imagine that's what.
He is one of the most delicious men that ever lived. I'll just leave it there.
Oh, so Val Kilmer from Top Gun. Got it.
Well, yes, actually.
In a way.
We're not talking about high school English teacher Gary Biggers. We're talking about Dell Gary Biggers.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, after you guys take your seats again, Mr. Vig just kind of leans in. So please tell me about this individual from the Black Sun Syndicate. So indiscriminate.
Murdered? No, sir. These individuals were posting up post a altercation where some street thugs tried to shake us down. They were taking quite a demeaning posture towards us and looked as if there may be something further afoot from the hostile reception that we received in the beginning. They took an aggressive posture. I discharged a firearm and took one of them down. The next one we escorted to our ship for some further questioning. Once he identified himself, we understood that he was off the table, and we released that piece as such.
They got their knickers in a hissy fit, and they needed to be.
Sit up whenever you're talking, Lau. He can't hear you all the way down there.
I can't hear you because you're lying down behind my couch.
I'm good.
Oh, very well. So, while I appreciate your account of things, and gentlemen, I wasn't there, I didn't observe the interaction.
Clearly, there's a holo vid that you could look at, Mr. Vig. There's plenty of cameras out and about. You'll see the truth of it. Once they were identified, we took them off the table.
What I will say is the account that I have heard through my contacts doesn't necessarily align 100% with the account that I'm hearing from. Is there anything you would care to add?
Not in the slightest. You'll only get the truth out of me. Find the holo vids.
Okay. So at this point, make a hard charm check.
You create a character that's focused on lies. You try to tell the truth.
And it comes back and bites in the butt.
The big gold weenie comes right at your butt.
That's what you get. You should have lied to him, and that's the moral of the story here, right?
Hey, remember that, kids. You heard it from the DM.
2 threat. Okay. So, Mr. Vig simply kind of leans back, puts his hands together, and just considers for a moment. Well, gentlemen, this doesn't really change anything right now. It might mean that we sidetrack a little in our business arrangement, but this is everything. We will discuss this tomorrow afternoon at lunch.
Listen, I don't care to leave things left unsaid. Clearly, there's something you care to open up to us about. I will tell you this much: in our entire dealings, I have been nothing but forthright. I could have brought that refined fuel to another buyer. I brought it to you. We have been open and honest with you this entire time. Why lie about this?
I don't think you're lying. The story you're telling me just isn't very compelling. So, that said,
the 16 bodies we left horizontal, that makes it a little bit more compelling whenever we first landed, but those are details that don't matter to the two Black Sun individuals.
The Black Sun, 16 bodies, those are rookie numbers. You got those up. What?
Mr. Vig. Mr. Vig
said, well, hold on. So what Mr. Vig says is, here's what I will tell you. I will tell you that what few strings that I had to pull, the Black Sun Syndicate, what few favors that they owed me, because the Black Sun Syndicate owes no one any favors. I was able to purchase your lives because before you returned here, they were void. Fortunately for you, the individual that you disposed of was so junior in the Black Sun organization, he was barely a member. But, like all organizations, they have a reputation to maintain. You can't, no matter how minor the member, you can't just go walk over. Surely, gentlemen, you understand?
Well, certainly so. There's a man on my vessel if you need a body. His name's Phil.
And with all due respect, Mr. Vig, this is an organization with integrity as well. And their tone to our man Lau was all wrong. And for that, he paid the ultimate price.
He looks alive to me. Either way, I'm not saying I disagree with anything that you've said to me. What I'm saying is that your actions have created a situation that I have had to address. And we will discuss the details of how I have addressed that situation tomorrow morning during lunch, in addition to the details around our ongoing relationship. Now, make no mistake, gentlemen, the relationship is ongoing. You are still in good standing with me. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's just something you have to do between now and then in order to make sure that this train keeps rolling down the track. Do we understand each other?
We do to some extent. Now, we are under a deadline in order to provide said recompense on behalf of Mr. Pissclams. I hope that this side jaunt does not alter our trajectory to where we are unable to make our meet.
Oh, very fair. Thank you for reminding me. Oh, Jeeves. He looks over to his assistant. He said, "Oh, please transfer the promised credits to these gentlemen." So a couple minutes go by. Lyle, you see on your PDA like ding, PayPal.Galnet. You've got 75,000 credits added to your account. So the money has been paid to you, so, gentlemen, as a gesture of good faith. There, kicking back, gentlemen. Tomorrow, 1 p.m.
Certainly so. We do appreciate you. One more quick favor. Do you have a way for us to expedite our contact with this Boo Fett?
It was Bubba.
Bubba Fett.
Bubba Foot.
Bubba Foot.
His name is Boba Fett.
No, Boba's that type of drink with the bubbles in it you can get at the Galactic Malls, and Fett's that cheese that's on the salad with the olives.
As you can see, Mr. Lau here has a very refined palate.
Clearly, he's clearly got a delectable palate for a shopping mall fast food restaurants. Quite discerning. Anyway, what I would say about Boba Fett is that you don't find Boba Fett. Boba Fett finds you.
Well, that's easy enough.
It would behoove you to have the credits ready when he arrives.
That's the same thing Boss told me about space chlamydia.
When,
Yep, it will find you, Lau. Now, the good news is we are always where we are at. Thus, we are always prepared to be us.
Yeah, strangely enough, on some level, that actually makes sense. Anyway, how long did Boba Fett give you before he said he would come back and need the payment? Or
We received a time frame of roughly a week. We were going to look for some side work, but thought that, well, with the precision that we executed that, there may be another job for us in order to make up this sum. Now, as you have so graciously covered it with the full price that you had in mind, then I'm sure he may be making a John out to see Faroon to make his collection post haste.
I would imagine
we would just like to make sure that we're not doing anything on your grounds that tends to be a small amount of collateral damage that's starting to follow us in our wake.
Understood. If you have any, shall we say, aggressive negotiations with Mr. Boba Fett, please don't do it on any of my properties. But your business with Boba Fett is yours. So long as it does not interfere with our business, I take no interest. Given the amount of time it takes to get from Nar Shaddaa to here via hyperspace, I would recommend waiting here for him to make himself known to you again, rather than requiring Mr. Boba Fett to chase you across the galaxy. He's an individual that, shall we say, is quite easily vexed, and I would not go out of my way to vex Mr.
Fair enough. That is a good piece of intelligence. He does not care to have plans altered on him. Thank you much.
You are welcome. Now, gentlemen, please enjoy the hospitality of the house this evening. There are no limits, no bounds to our services that you may, to quote Jongi the Short Dong, indulge yourself in.
Oh, very good. I have read that Space Short of his Short Dong, and
Emphasis on the short.
indeed, and the way that he wrought upon an entire community alcohol poisoning to the point where they expired.
It's amazing.
Such frivolity. Bacchus himself would be jealous of it.
He managed to lead an entire medieval village to kill themselves by alcohol. Who has ever heard of such a thing?
Jongi the Short Dong.
So that man. All right. So he allows you to, if you want to take your leave at this point, you can. If you have any more questions for him or anything else, then
as I look over my shoulder, is the way open?
Yeah, absolutely. The two guys have stepped aside to the other side, so you can go back now.
As we try to walk out the door, I'm gonna try to shoulder check one of the big guys, but it's kind of like the shoulder check is more like I feel like I'm trying to hit him really hard, but it's more like running into a door frame that you didn't judge your distance to it, quite well enough. It's,
Yeah. Make an average brawl check, please.
Yeah.
This is going to be hilarious.
Just showing off for boss.
Which one?
The boss.
Okay, so Coot.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about Bruce Springsteen?
Jesus.
Fuck them.
And they ain't happy about it.
Okay. So, as you guys are exiting, Lau kind of like hangs to the back. Because he like wants to talk to the teacher after the class is over, but doesn't want anybody to hear him, kind of thing. And he just kind of looks around. Yeah, now's a good time. He walks, and his intent was just kind of like, oh, I didn't see you. You were there, and you were so huge, I didn't realize. But what you end up doing is kind of like, doing like a shock ball shoulder check right to the guy's solar plexus, and piss clams. Actually, at this point, you're like, oh, that's some of the best foam I've ever seen. So anyway, you're like, wow, that's a solid, form shoulder check right between the numbers. Anyway, so at this point, the guy's just like, and he's gonna make a brawl check back at you.
Do I see him doing this?
Yeah. Well, it's happened behind you at this point, so he's gonna back in before there's anything you can do about it. Okay. Well, now the question is, what does this guy have for stats? Because I didn't.
Yeah, you
plan on
probably,
any
I think, would recognize the sound of air escaping from a good shot.
Yeah, I mean, if he just knocked the wind out of this guy or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, you hear something happening behind you, but this doesn't get an action before there's anything you can do about it.
Well, as I do it, I'm gonna say, son, you better stay cooler than the other side of a baked bean sandwich.
Add a free boost to the next check that you make if you survive. Oh, all right. So,
God.
so, Lau, here's what happens. You have attempted to, keep your distance, but not look like you keep your distance, kind of walk casual. And instead, what it really looked like that you were doing was laying a shoulder intentionally right to this dude's solar plexus. So,
Narachi running up to him and like,
he's recovering. His buddy's like, what just happened to him? And then he steps in and you get waylaid like you've never been waylaid in your entire life. And you have been planted face first into the floor and are out cold.
Both weapons drawn. Mr. Vig, keep your dogs in line.
Well,
I'm gonna.
Not ever pointing at him, but pointing at his muscle.
Gentlemen, please, can we please de-escalate this situation?
I'll walk over and pick up Lau by the scruff of his collar and just pick him up in the air and kind of put him over my shoulder and look at the guy that just locked him out and be like, I think I could take it from here. And I'll just kind of nod to him and walk out.
Understood.
you can hear Lau moaning in his sleep. Fuck you, Phil.
You put that joke at the cold out of a baked bean sandwich. Pretty cool, wasn't it? Anyway.
I'll tell you, man, this hottitoddy.com with their list of 211 Southern colloquialisms is fucking fantastic.
Keep it up at all times and use it prolifically. Yeah, so, I mean, I thought you came up with that on the fly, but either way, I don't care. So, anyway, Lau, you have just, taken a face plant into the ground. You have maxed out strain damage, so you're at 0 strain.
Got it.
And, you didn't get a triumph with a freaking brawl on your face. So,
does my soak take up any of that strain? My soak of 2, would that be, because I have 12 strain, but would I be at 10?
With the triumph?
I'm just asking. I don't know.
I mean, are we
works
scrapping
for
at this point?
It works for them.
Alright. So yeah, strained out. Got it.
Yeah, you're a 0 strain, out cold. You've never been so slobber knockered in your entire life. New experience for you. Not one that you would care. Thank you to know. So,
technically speaking, it was my first fist fight, and that's what happened.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, they usually stop them before anybody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Go on, it's fine.
Anyway, okay. So, Piss Clams, you've got an unconscious Lau on your shoulder, walking out. You see the dude just kind of like, oh, God, where did that little shrimp come from, man? The other one just shake his like, dude, you got straight up sided. What is wrong with you? I'll wait till the guys hear about this one.
Mr. Piss Clams, I hope you realize you're rolling the dice here, because I don't know the last time I saw Mr. Lau hit the refresher. He could be a time bomb of just leeching all kinds of fluids out. Do you want to get something to cover your garments, just in case?
That's a good point. I'm gonna pull him back off my shoulder and just kind of hold him at arm's length by the scruff of his collar, just out.
Well, fortunately, he's so scrawny. You can just hold him out there after. All right. So I guess you want to take Lau back to the ship, or are you just gonna dump him on the bar floor where you can enjoy yourself. I mean, you can do whatever you want at this point. It's not like he has much of a say in it.
I don't exactly shit where I eat, so I'll scope around the bar, see if there's a nice little filly that looks like she could use a little romp. If there isn't one, then I'll head back to the Regia Queen and get back up inside my favorite girl.
All right. A little early in the day yet, so no fillies hanging out in the bar.
Honey,
Probably will be later.
any time of day is a good time of day for a good romp, my friend.
Well, there's just nobody here. That's the thing. So it's a little early.
Fair enough. There's not like some kind of lazy-eyed person like buffing tables. Or
All I'm saying is
not
if you haven't had the buffet at the landing strip here in Austin, Texas, you haven't lived.
Texas Syndicate, I don't go in there.
Steak and lobster, man. It's like $4.99.
It's all.
Hey, what about that place up in New York State in that guy's basement? Like, what's the steak and lobster situation there?
Yeah, I don't know if they've got steak and lobster at the Boom Boom basement. It's literally a basement in like a residential neighborhood.
Really? The guy's got like a good time house, and he's just got like you know.
It's majestic. I mean, you're that close to the kingdom. You're going to have some fantasies that are going to come home. Lemony B, we need to take you up there. It will change your life.
While we've digressed for a moment, can we talk about, Tim, why is your hotel room wall lined in saran wrap?
Hey, well, that's not important. He's a plastic salesman.
How do you think I travel?
La Quinta, for some reason, the sheets don't show DNA under black light. It's an amazing scientific.
Yeah, a little bit of Clorox solves all your problems.
Yeah.
That, saran wrap. Tell you what, everybody wants to complain about ocean plastic. Plastic has saved me so much jail time.
Yeah. How do you equate that? I mean, the work you do to help the GDP instead of being in prison and being a tax. There you go.
I pay my income taxes.
Yeah.
Productive member of society. That's actually, believe it or not, that's a pattern on the wall covering. That's not actually a reflection. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, people see what they want to see.
Fair.
So,
I see saran wrap people.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys get back to the Regia Queen. You're dumping Lal Hast off in the. I guess in his quarters.
So I'd like to go to the weapons garage that we had the conversation with for our other shopping items, the missile bay, and those elements to see if any of that.
This is the guy that when you went to talk. Wait, this is the guy that when you went to talk to him, he was getting shaken down by the.
Yeah, Lal shot him.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's right. Lal did shoot him. Correct.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, he's willing to talk to you guys. So.
Well, the good news is Lal's unconscious, so Piss Clams and I are going to go have a conversation.
Yeah. As you sat Lal down, you see a bruise forming on the side of his head. And it's got like knuckle shapes.
Not so much here or here, but right in here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's gonna have a trophy to show off for that one because he's so small, and that dude's fist was like Andre the Giant. Anyway,
Mr. Pissclams, as you look at his face, I mean, you can almost see the indentations of the knuckle skin right there.
Yeah.
You see?
As you're saying that, I'm kind of like looking at it like, oh man, like lining it up, like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I can see why he was so angry now. Okay, so you go back to that Toydarian that ran the weapons bay there. Yeah. Okay. So you guys head back. Getting my voice ready for this one. Toydarians are kind of a little hard on the vocal cords. So okay, you guys walk in like, hey guys, so great to have you back.
Indeed, it is nice to be. Yes, quite nice. We've been gone for at least 10 days. What news have you on the modifications we are looking for our ship? The camouflaged cargo, let's just say alternative cargo compartments, and then the missile launcher for the Regia Queen have those parts come in, and are you prepared to install them, sir?
So I was able to find everything. Good news, you're very happy, right? Yeah, guys. Right.
Yeah, quite happy. There's whenever you start out a sentence like that, there's usually a but that's followed, and not the kind of but I want up on me.
I don't follow.
Is there a downside to this? You've just seen Vera up, and I'm waiting for the tail end to come down.
So, and then at this point, you remember that not only are Toydarians immune to the Force, they're always kind of like, they're sort of inoculated against, idiomatic ways of speaking, very literal, if you will. There's like, oh no, none of that. Yes, I install. Tell me, where have you parked your ship? I go install.
All right, the same landing bay that we were in before, Dodge Ramekin and Phil are out there for you to go and interface with, and consider them at your disposal as you are making the installs, please.
Okay, but you have to answer me this one small question, guys, okay?
Go ahead.
That weirdo that shot me.
Funny you say that. He actually has a case of bulimia. If you would believe it, and was gorging on a knuckle sandwich and finds himself unconscious at this point.
Oh, that sounds horrible. I feel so sorry for him, except that I don't.
How is that blaster bolt wound? Healing well, I hope?
Yes, fortunately, he had really bad aim. It didn't hit anything important,
Oh, no, I certainly do know. A lot of people were shooting in many directions. We have no idea where it came from, so just glad that you were safe.
It's better than being dead.
Fair enough.
All right, give me till the end of the week. You will have all of your modifications installed on your ship.
And again, these modifications, especially these two, ones that are, how would we say, best kept off the books. If I were to give you an extra 5,000, you'd probably even forget even working with us on this, correct?
Please remind me, what is your name again?
See, that's what I like about you, and why I will never bring Lau Haas into this establishment again. The way Blaster Bolt seemed to magically miss him and then redirect towards other people, he's a very blessed and lucky man. Some might even call him a holy man in primitive cultures. He's quite special.
Funny. I have what one might call the 5,000th degree of amnesia, and I don't even know who you're talking about.
Exactly. I like that about you. Always a fresh look every moment of every day because you don't remember shit. What I will tell you is I found this little credit stick here on the ground. I think you may have dropped it from your utility belt there, sir. So here you are.
Oh, naturally. Yes, this is payment for services that I have done for people that I remember who are not you.
Indeed. That's fantastic.
Guys, and I will take care of your ship, okay?
Hey, so the second crew berth to the right of the cockpit, just don't go into that room. That may be where our bulimic friend is recovering from his knuckle sandwich.
Well, may he recover slowly and painfully.
Your words, indeed.
All right, so you guys need 5-6 days, and it's the concealed cargo bay, right? So like a smuggler's compartments, right?
Yes.
And it's a concussion missile launcher.
Correct.
Now you don't have ammo for that, but you do have the launcher.
Correct. Yeah, we would have to source because he was unable to be able to locate actual concussion missiles, but
right. Yeah, the control.
we just need the launcher in there. Yeah.
We've got Phil.
Yeah.
Burial at sea.
Yeah. Hey, I'm skating on thin ice. Let's jump up and down right now. So, anyway, okay. So you guys take the end of the week, and that that'll be done. Anything in particular that you want to do this evening during the frivolities?
I will not take part.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Out. Saving yourself for the negotiations and conversation tomorrow.
Indeed.
Understood. Anybody else? Piss clams. Lau. Let me check something here.
Mr. Pisclams, perhaps you could take Mr. Ramekin out after he unfortunately had to watch so many hours of that feed trying to get information for us.
Yeah.
Just burnt the whole world down around him. He looked quite depressed. Perhaps you could take him out and raise his spirits. Bring more whiskey to his life.
I could do that. All right, so I'll rally anybody that wants to go out. Head to the nearest watering hole, just off the docking bay.
Phil would go, but he's come down with a severe case of conjunctivitis suddenly.
Yeah. And by the way,
Real bad case of pink eye.
yeah, pink eye. Yeah, highly communicable. Okay, so after a couple hours, and you guys are kind of hanging out, buying with fireball shots and having all the fun with all the ladies. A couple hours go by, and you regain 2 points of strain, Lau, to the point where you are now conscious, and this 3/4 of your face, like over here, feels like it got ran over by a steamroller. But yeah, you haven't looked in the mirror yet or anything, so you don't know really what's going on. But you just know that, like, wow, my face feels bad.
So I'll come into Lau's quarters, knock before I open it up. Lau, are you recuperating well enough? Do I need to cut and lance any of that swelling on your face? You probably need to drink some of this.
I'm okay, man. I'm just wondering.
Do you notice any of your teeth being too loose? That often happens with a little bit of blunt trauma.
All right. I kind of spit in you're clicking, 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 clicking.
Yeah, we'll save those. Actually, why don't you save them? We'll get them shoved back in. I'm sure Piss Clams is strong enough to make those things find a new home.
Yeah, it's taking sec. I'm fine. Let them try.
And Lyle, as you're looking in the mirror, you see 4 big, like sausage, like purple stripes across your face, just like right here. Like in an angle, they're all the same angle, or like, wow.
I mean, I'd like to say that's the first time 4 sausages have slapped you in the face, but
It's not.
It's not.
But I'm still playing in Phil, right?
well, yeah. I mean, Phil's part robot. That's disgusting.
All right. Well, I'm gonna sleep. I think.
Yeah, you're probably concussed, so sleeping is, as I understand, the best medicine for that. Just leave this off. Just lay there, get comfortable. You will be just fine.
All right. Thanks for looking after me, boss.
Yeah. Make sure you drink some of that whiskey too.
Yeah, with the concussion, you should absolutely be drinking massive amounts of alcohol.
Yeah, I reach over to grab a drink, and as I'm drinking it, it just kind of. It goes in and it just kind of just drools. It's just straight out.
Try to get it on the side of your face to sanitize the wounds where the skin is ruptured as well.
Mm-hmm.
But try not to get that in your eye. That.
Ow!
Nope.
God
Yeah,
damn
okay.
it!
Yeah, you did. So yeah, just go to sleep. You'll be fine. Maybe rub a little dirt on it. You'll be okay in the morning.
Player 2 has entered the game.
Hey!
Player 2.
Yeah. Baby DM disapproves of everything you've just done.
He is now showing dissent amongst party members.
Yeah. It's like, I can't believe you got punched in the face. You're so dumb.
So is he officially Monito, or are you still holding the title?
No, he's El Monito Dos.
El Monito Dos. Mucho gusto.
Yo soy El Monito Uno. Él es El Monito Dos. All right. So, yeah, that keyboard too, buddy. That's exactly what I need right now. All right. Yeah. So Piss Clams, you're having fun tonight. You're getting him lit up, and
I'm mostly more focused on getting him lit than I am.
Okay.
I'm gonna maintain. I'll maintain. I'll have some drinks with him and stuff, but this is about him blowing off steam.
Staying a little bit below the comfortable buzz level.
I mean, I had sort of a reckoning of sorts earlier today. I'm probably a little bit more philosophical than might otherwise be, given
So
this.
you're pretty much like planning a Cancun trip with him and then
right. Yeah.
ditching within a few weeks of going.
Thinking about how I'm glad I took out that travel insurance policy.
Oh wow!
And
Yeah.
did you think about maybe just like only you going and leaving your boring wife at home?
I did actually suggest
Your
that.
boring pregnant wife.
Yeah.
What I find is interesting is I mean, Cancun's an island surrounded by salt water. I didn't think you could bring more salt to such a location.
Fair, very fair.
Yeah.
A friend of ours got catastrophically injured by spraining his ankle there.
Oh yeah,
right.
Never been the same since. Catastrophic
10 out of 10,
injury.
10 out of 10 pain, right?
To this day, yeah.
To this day, he's not the same.
He's got a limp.
He's got PTSD from it, actually.
Yep, it's a tough guy.
Wow, you remember that time at Nam when I sprained my ankle? Oh, the VC were attacking?
Yeah.
It was horrible.
To be fair, if I recall, he didn't actually sprain it, right? Like it wasn't officially sprained.
Well, officially, no, it was not sprained. But
yeah,
it was like a twist.
I think it might have been twisted. Yeah, maybe like a stage 1 borderline
it's
sprain.
Not even a first-degree sprain. It's like it's like tropical depression, Harry. It's not even like a hurricane yet. So,
right.
Wow.
This finger hasn't been straight for a year.
Yeah.
Neither has the rest of you.
It might strain you to straighten
Going forward. Yeah, bombs getting dropped.
That was
anyway. You're a beautiful man. You're gonna make somebody very happy. Were White Claws the drink of choice that Jamie requested?
No. House. It was the bottle of Satanero Chardonnay. It was $7.98 at HEB. For the big 750 milliliter. So it's $7.98. I had to buy the bottle.
I was
in a box.
No, it just
slap the bladder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always found that cardboard to be overkill, anyways. Like, why cardboard?
It's the flavor, you know.
Fair. All right, so the next day.
All right, so you go to what appears to be a pretty high-end restaurant for Seafaroon. You're shocked that there's something to this richly appointed. The tables are all of like a rare Kashikan wood variety that is not readily available. If you walked into this establishment and one of the finer neighborhoods of Coruscant, it would fit right in. So you were somewhat amazed that something on, if you took a dive bar on South Congress, that's basically Seafaroon as a planet. So
Camino.
The Continental, maybe. So, something like the Continental is like Seafaroon as a planet is basically the Continental.
Oh, that's so hot.
But then you have this place, which definitely out. So you're, so clearly there's some financials that are not on the up and up. Clearly there's stuff going on here. It's really going on. So anyway, so it's, 5-star or if you're a Michelin Guide guy, 3-star. Restaurant. Getting a Michelin star period is, a feat in and of itself. This place is at least 2.5 to 3 stars, and they don't do half stars in the Michelin Guide. So, high end, richly appointed. You haven't tried the menu yet. You haven't even read it, but you expect that it's going to be somewhat foofy, small portion sizes, tasty, but ultimately not filling. Probably a good wine selection too.
Okay.
Mr. Vig is sitting at a booth over in the back corner, looking at his personal data device and sipping on another glass of some sort of red. He looks up and he just motions you over.
Is there anyone else in the restaurant?
You see a guy behind the bar cleaning glasses.
Okay.
Paying attention, or, well, I should say, taking very good care to look like he's not paying attention.
All right.
That's what he's doing.
I will, we're walking over, guys. You gonna stand there awkwardly in the door?
I mean, you're the only one playing there. We're not there.
Mama said she wants Baby DM back, so Baby DM's got to go back. Normally he's in bed crying and waking us up by now, but that's not the case tonight. So anyway, okay, so you guys are walking over to Mr. Big or doing something else. Did I misunderstand what was happening?
Yeah.
No, I'm in my room.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then so Coot and Piss Clams, you're both in there. Correct?
I'm Coot's back on the ship. I've got to make sure Lau's okay, sleeping off
Okay.
his concussion.
Okay, so Mr. Piss Clams, it's just you for the moment.
Okay.
So you walk over. Oh, Mr. Piss Clams, please sit down.
All right. I sit down.
You're like,
I'm
"Oh,
inherently distrustful of this guy, so
sure. If you don't mind me inquiring, where's everybody else?
well, Lal is back at the ship, as you can imagine. He took a bit of a knock, and Coot's looking after him.
Shall we delay this meeting until later then? When the rest of your compatriots are available?
Well, I didn't think this was like the following day meeting. I think wasn't this like at night they're going out for dinner?
Oh, okay. My misunderstanding. I thought this was 1 p.m.
Yeah,
the
I
next
thought this was the next day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If it's the next day, then yeah, I would be there as well.
Perfect.
My
Okay.
apologies.
Wow, what do you do? Are you on the ship?
I'm sitting in the ship. Yeah, I'm effed up, man.
You're like, yeah, I'm still spitting teeth out.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So, Mr. Piss Clams, Mr. Trollfool, please.
So, tell us a story, Mr. Vig. How do you see this relationship going forward?
So, and kind of just to give you guys a little bit of background here, my inspiration for Mr. Big was a lot of things. One of which was, the what was his name? The guy that did the voice for Jarvis and played Vision in the Multi-Avengers movies.
Paul Bettany.
Yes, Paul Bettany. His character from Solo.
Wimbledon? Oh, okay, shit. I thought you were talking about him and Kirsten Dunst in Wimbledon, one of his greatest movies ever.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but I got to now, apparently.
You need
Was it
to.
called Wimbledon? Is that
It
the name of the
was.
movie?
It's the name of the movie. It's about tennis. He was amazing. He was extremely British. Just let that sink in, plus or minus. I don't know what category that falls into everybody.
Because you're wearing these tight white shorts. That's what
Indeed. They were fucking majestic.
Anyway. Okay, yeah, I figured. Yeah. But you gotta ask. You gotta throw it out there, be sure. So there's no question. So anyway, Paul Bettany, his character in Solo, like that smooth but not entirely sane criminal. So think Mr. Big is like much more collected in his faculty. So he's not going to just like flip off the handle and stab you with a knife or anything like that. But if you want to get rid of it, he'd find a more creative and less obtrusive way to do it. So
creativity in the realm of removing individuals from the playing field is something we seem to respect.
Exactly. So in your mind, what you know is Mr. Big, extremely dangerous individual, but unpredictable and unreasonable, I guess is what I'm getting at. So anyway,
Mr. Vig, you seem to have left your brute squad at home. I don't have that many more crew to go through, and I'd hate to see him try to go through Mr. Piss Clams.
Well, hopefully that can be avoided. They were there merely as a know the true extent of what you had done to, with, or for, or because of the Black Sun Syndicate, who, at the end of the day, gentlemen, I'm what you might call an independent contractor. I don't have anywhere near the resources of a galactic-wide organized criminal element like, did I say criminal? I meant entrepreneurial elements such as the Black Sun Syndicate. So I have to be very careful to protect the kingdom.
Very fair.
Because I didn't know, I had to take all necessary precautions.
Prince Zasor seems to be the type that garners a lot of unnecessary attention. That must be advantageous to be a free agent such as yourself.
It has its advantages, it has its disadvantages. Fortunately, I've never risen to the level for now as the prince. Nor do I hope to. I'm perfectly happy to live in my, shall we say, comfortable obscurity here in the outer rim.
I was married once before. I know all about comfortable obscurity.
Oh, I'm sure you do. So, gentlemen, you asked a question earlier. What's the nature of our ongoing relationship? And the nature is that there is an ongoing relationship. So, at this point, I'm not ready to part ways. I will say, as you are garnering a certain level of attention, it might mean that someone purchases your contract out from under me, as it were. But we will cross that bridge when we get to it. First, there's the matter of the blood debt that you owe to the Black Sun Syndicate by way of me. Do you have any immediate concerns other than the obvious?
I mean, we are quite adept at erasing problems and, shall we say, creatively solving issues. So, how many bodies does it need to be this time?
One.
And whose body should it be?
Well, funny you should ask. He pulls a little data pad out of his pocket and slides it to you across the table.
Lau, take a look at this computer shit. God damn it, the man's unconscious. You're supposed to sleep off a concussion, am I correct?
Oh, and I hear if you douse it in prodigious amounts of whiskey, it helps.
See, nah, I think we may have gone to the same medical training. All right, I feel better now. I was starting to
Oh,
question
he'll be fine.
if you're
Did he wake
supposed
up this
to.
morning?
Sure. It was kind of a late night there on the vessel. I'm not sure local time how that worked. Anyway, and I'll fumble with my basic computer skills. Am I able to turn the thing on?
Oh yeah, I mean you can operate a smart. I mean that's you don't now if you wanted to do something unusual with a smartphone that might prompt a computer's check.
Okay.
Pick
Yeah.
a general,
So taking a look at it, what do we see?
Okay. So you see, looks like a dossier of a member of the Galactic Senate. Has all their companies and going.
Which world?
So it's that's. What were you about to say?
Which world?
Oh man, that's a great question. Let me get back to you on that.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for you.
Because if it's a Corellian, I'll fucking kill him tomorrow. Nobody gives a
They're
Make
not
it
Corellian.
crap ass
So,
fucking vehicles.
minor constituent planet, not major core inner rim system, but a significant enough minor planet that they do rate full voting rights within the Galactic Senate. So that's the type of planet that it was from. I need to find you that planet because I'm a dummy and didn't anticipate that.
Fair. So I'll pass it over to Mr. Pissclams for him to take a look. Now, is this the type of job where we're just simply making an individual disappear? Are we doing a more public unveiling of our work? What's the appetite here?
So, this individual, this woman, is a member of a subcommittee on organized crime law enforcement within the Galactic Senate. They're having hearings within the coming months and years. Of course, the Senate grinds slow, and I agree, it's horrible. Anyway, as the Senate has these hearings on organized crime, obviously, there are potentially galaxy-wide repercussions for an organization such as the Black Sun Syndicate, and they are interested that the vote goes their way. The principal groundwork being done for this potential legislation that might or might not come to pass is going to be done by this subcommittee and the hearings that they with principally victims, as if there was such a thing, of organized crime. And of course, they want public, emotional, politically powerful testimony in order to drive certain agendas against organized crime that might exist within the Galactic Senate. this senator, while from a minor planet, they still do enjoy full Senate voting rights. And unfortunately, in the short amount of time that this individual lives, they have made it the hallmark of their campaign to address what they call a rampant galactic organized crime issue. And they have made it the centerpiece of their term within the Senate now to introduce comprehensive law enforcement legislation against organized crime in general, but obviously as one of the most prominent within the galaxy, the Black Sun Syndicate stands much to lose. Therefore, your assignment, which you will be doing for no pay from either myself or the Black Sun Syndicate, as a repayment of the blood debt that you owe them that I paid on your behalf, quite expensive, by the way. They need this prominent member of this campaign against organized crime to change their tune.
And am I to assume, since this individual is clearly a loudmouth from a very bully pulpit, could have been a barista, before coming into this power and propped up in this position.
With no practical real-world experience in anything.
Indeed, sir. So, are you saying that there's supposed to be no telling marks left on their person, and we are just supposed to shift their politics?
What I am saying is that this person needs to go from being a vocal advocate against organized crime in the galaxy and the use of government power in the combating thereof to, shall we say, a skeptic on the matter of using government power against organized crime.
Very well. We are quite adept at changing, shall we say, perceptions of individuals.
I fully expect that you are perfectly equipped to win the hearts and minds of these individuals involved.
So we're just after that one senator. We don't have to go after the entire subcommittee. Does the dossier provide us any family members? Any points of
it's got all the
leverage?
things in it. Yeah, she's married. She's got 2 kids. They live
nice. She's got kids.
Okay. They have a residence there. She's got an apartment on Coruscant near the Senate building itself. You have all the information you need. She's a public figure. They don't hide anything, right?
And Mr. Druid, when does this change need to be affected in her policies by?
Well, obviously, this is a long campaign that she's waging. She knows that she can't change anything overnight. However, it would be viewed politically as a powerful blow to the movement if its most vocal advocate turned into its most vocal skeptic. Do you follow?
I do. Is there a specific voting cycle? I'm just trying to set up the timetable and sense of urgency to get this knocked out. As again, we will clearly have to wait for Boo Boo Fett to make his way out here before we can leave planetside. When is the Black Sun expecting this outcome to be delivered by?
So the first of the publicly televised hearings involving the victims of organized crime won't be happening for another 2.5 minutes.
Fair.
So
okay.
So the goal of the Black Sun Syndicate is for her to be heard at this public hearing as a skeptic, not only of the stories of these victims of organized crime, but of the use of government power to even begin to combat something as comprehensive as galaxy-spanning organized crime. If there was such a thing, because there's not. There is, but we'd like to tell people there's not.
Well, I believe this subcommittee is just a certain example of the redundancy, because organized crime and law enforcement are one and the same in this empire. Am I right? Can I get an amen?
You know what? I am so glad somebody has finally seen it my way.
Very good, sir. So from a meta standpoint,
Yes.
How are we going to deal with the dossier? Do you want us in between sessions to send you kind of the information we're after, and you're filling in the blanks as a conversation? Are you going to provide avenues of here's different things that you can go down and research?
So what I will do between sessions, I will provide you with the dossier. So I'll provide you with 100% of the information that's within the dossier.
Will it be written in English or Galactic Common? Because I don't read that weird script that they use in game.
Well, you got about a week and a half to learn it, and you're going to be traveling.
Jesus.
So is he suggesting that it's just this series of votes that they need, or does this need to be like a permanent change? In
You can ask him.
Oh, all right. Question, Mr. Vig.
Yes, sir.
This change of heart we're trying to instill.
Yes.
Is this a one-time thing, or is this a permanent solution?
What the Black Sun Syndicate is looking for here is in the midterm, next 3 to 5 years, they want the most prominent voice in government right now campaigning against organized crime to become a prominent public skeptical voice of the use of government power against organized crime. Now, the only caveat is you are not allowed to harm the senator in any way.
Certainly.
Beyond that, have any and all means at your disposal to affect the nature of her public opinion on the matter.
I'm not one to split hairs here, Mr. Vig, but whenever you say we're not allowed to harm her, is that just physical harm?
Well, she can't very well go showing up in public with a big Lowell House tattoo on the side of her face, now can she?
Yeah, fair point. But mental hurt, that's acceptable and or encouraged?
No physical harm may befall this senator.
Excuse me for trying to be precise here, but physical harm could be construed as physiological, and the state of oneself or one's id could be construed as a metaphysical state. You're just talking about like bruises and cuts on her visible person. Is that accurate?
So, since you need me to be quite specific, I think I will at this point. You may not inflict physical harm upon the senator. You can't shoot her, you can't stab her, you can't punch her, you can't throw a hand grenade at her, you can't flay her alive, spread out her lungs, put her on a truck, follow it with a streaming camera, broadcast it to the galaxy. None of that. Now, if you inflict psychological harm, family member, kidnapping the dog and then shooting it in front of her, something like that, be creative, gentlemen. I'm not here to solve your problems for you, merely providing you the opportunity to solve them. In that instance, causing her harm physically is off limits, because when she appears in public, it cannot appear that she has been physically coerced in any way to change her vote. In her opinion on this matter, this needs to be has all the appearances and trappings of a genuine change of heart.
Very good, sir. I believe we
you
are
may
in
coerce that
accord.
genuine change of heart out. But it's up to you. Other than
where I come from on Duros, we call that genuine.
Genuine. I hear that back in the early 2000s, he was quite the R&B artist.
Indeed. Very popular in the suborbital stations of Duros.
Makes sense. Where they have all the Holiday Inn Expresses.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And then I believe we are of accord, and this is something we most certainly can do. How shall we contact Mission Accomplished or the like?
Well, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So over these next 2.5 months, you have all the time, tools, and opportunity you need to change her opinion on such things. And then when we view the hearing publicly, and we will all be tuned in, presuming the senator says the correct things, gentlemen, your job will have been successfully accomplished.
Then fair enough. I'm sorry that the cadence of our communication is going to grind to such a few and far between over the next coming months, but I believe you will make do, Mr. Vig.
I might survive, but at the same time, as things heat up within the underworld and reputations start to go and spread and become more well known, sometimes a cooling off period is warranted. If you
Very
catch
good,
me.
sir. And we most certainly do. We will go underground. Is there any safe port of call that we can land on Coruscant off the grid?
Let me tell you what. I will have Jeeves contact you, give you the name of an individual that owns a warehouse with a spaceport in Coruscant who occasionally has been in my employ. I will instruct him to make all of the accommodations necessary. Fortunately for you, this warehouse it's not within the same sector and district as the Senate building, but it's also not on the entire other side of the planet. So it's not incredibly inconvenient, but if you are able to make more convenient arrangements on your own, by all means, feel free to do so.
Very good, sir. We certainly do appreciate it. Mr. Pissclams, is everything hunky-dory with you, good sir?
Indeed.
Well, then we will see you on the other side, Mr. Vig, or not
Good.
at all.
All right. Right about 10:30. So I think that's a good time to say go ahead and pause and end the session. Again, thank you to everybody out there that was watching and participating and following along with the stream here. So real quick recap, kind of an admin role-playing session this time while they had to go back, turn in the quest, as it were, with Mr. Vig, collect the payment for the job, atone for some of the things that they had done along the way, or attempt to start the road to atonement. Maybe settle some business with this guy named, Booba Feet or whatever his name is. Anyway, and now they have a little bit of a side mission, if you will, that they need to do to repay the debt that they incurred to one of the most notorious organized crime syndicates in the galaxy. But then after that, presuming everything goes off as planned and that the crew doesn't goon this up somehow, maybe they can write their own ticket with Mr. We'll see. We'll see where the relationship goes. So again, thank you everybody for watching, following along. Really appreciate it. Have a good evening.
I want to thank Tally Darkstar for the follow and SideQuest Live for the follow tonight. Really appreciate that, folks. Thanks for
appreciate it, guys.
tuning in.
Thank you very much.